Good evening, one and all. Thank you for joining me and Geoff. I am Yann, the pirate man.
Yes.
And Geoff is only one F in Geoff. Thank you for joining us live for our match preview of Everton versus Fulham. Kick off this weekend, 3:00 in the sunshine, fingers crossed, at Goodison Park. But for now, we are in the evening digital recreation of Goodison Park, or Geoff would be as well if he was having his screen. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing, Geoff?
I'm all right, mate. Thanks. Yeah, all good.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm just I'm off at the minute and about.
We might have some technical issues here. We've had some issues with StreamYard where it wasn't playing videos before, which is a bit frustrating. And I don't know whether that's affected me and Geoff as well. But yeah, excellent times here at our wonderful streaming service. As is, there's never a easy evening when it comes to Everton or anything related to Everton. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Eugene's already there in the comments before we went live. Yeah, we will be discussing these things on the press conference. Richo saying hi. Blue skies, as always. Ems is fast becoming a new regular. Thank you for joining us. David. And we will be discussing this one as well. Geoff's got plenty to say. So did you watch the press conference?
I do indeed. I did. Yeah, I did. Thoughts? Yeah. For what it's worth, I mean, I do enjoy listening to him speak. But he's quite of a politician, isn't he? He deflects with humour but he does avoid a lot of questions, doesn't he?
Well, you've got to wonder. Sometimes we're not covered so easily in the media. Well, nobody is. It's all about clickbait. It's not about getting to the truth of the story. It's just about generating traffic. So the whole thing about Dele Alli, okay, that might be a different thing they've got opinions on. But we go back to Decore and Harry Kane and DCL and the coverage, over his injury and the 33 miles. I know what. I don't want to be slagging people off left, right, and centre, but it does make you wonder sometimes whether journalists actually want to ask a question or whether they just want to get clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely it's formulaic unless they've got something particularly they want to grind. It's basically just no real surprises. This is what you're going to have available to play, and we're going to debate the starting 11. I think we've probably got a fair bit to say on that. But he avoids controversy as much as he can. So, he answered a question about DCL or several questions without actually answering them. He answered a question about Dele Alli without actually saying anything, which I can understand. I understand because all he cares about really is who he's going to get on the pitch and what kind of result we can get, and I suppose that's all that matters to us as well, isn't it? Is we need the points, we need a win this weekend, and I'm positive about it.
But
why have a trampoline behind me? It's not a trampoline, mate. It's it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be for blocking out. I haven't done the settings for the. It's on the present, isn't it?
Oh, the virtual background
settings. So
I am surrounded by Goodison.
Yeah, I've not done the virtual background, so it's just basically.
Yeah.
But let me just see if I can put the virtual background on.
When you say so while you're talking about that, Geoff, or while you're fiddling with the background of that, my thoughts on that is so we are going to cover some of the things he mentioned more in the press conference, but he mentioned he was asked questions about Isaac Price and the youth development at Goodison, and they ask these leading questions, but they're not asking really what they want to ask, which is, what's happened to Everton over the last few years, and we've seen fewer fans come in to discuss. Oh, that looks nice. We've seen fewer clubs come in. Players come. Oh my God, I'll get my words eventually. We've seen fewer players come in as we used to do when they worked through the ranks, and even if they weren't successful, we'd see more players making up a larger percentage of the registered squad. So maybe there's been a fall off in that. But then asking about a verbal agreement about Jordan Pickford and Dele Alli in the news. I mean, okay, why not just ask the question that you wanted to ask? Because essentially, what you want to say is, please give me a soundbite for this article I'd like to write about, and I'd like to fish for a comment here. But then on the other hand, you've got to wonder why they're doing that is because what are the club putting out lately? You all right there, Geoff?
Yeah. Well,
your video is frozen, my man.
Sorry.
So, okay, well, while Geoff talks about that,
is it your internet? God.
It's absolutely not. Okay, tell you what, we'll resolve this in the comments. Who seems to be having technical video and audio issues? Is it me or is it Geoff? Because my one seems to be okay, but he thinks there's problems with mine, and I think there's problems with his. Okay, Geoff's gone. Okay, so right. So essentially, what Sean Dyche talked about in his presser. Well, he's asked the usual questions about injuries. Townsend is long term. Okay, here we go. It's Geoff. And Geoff is back in black. So while Geoff's sorting that one out, talked about Townsend. It's a long-term injury, out for a year. I don't know what they're going to expect. Do they expect to see him, a report from the physios and the medical reports at the club? DCL is very much the same thing. We've had this conversation multiple times. Do we want to see him come on? And he made this comment last press conference. Oh, he's 33 miles away. And sometimes you think they're not quite smart enough to figure out what he's getting, or they don't like a straight answer. 33 miles. It's the distance between Liverpool and Manchester. I mean, come on. Use your brain. He's obviously saying he's not fit enough yet. I don't know. I mean, surely the biggest news will be there'll be a parade through L4 around Goodison when DCL is proclaimed as fit to start a 90 minutes Premier League match. Absolutely. Yeah. So really the questions that I wanted to mull over with Geoff is, who's going to come on in right back in place of Coleman? We've been told he's got a niggly hamstring injury. Hello.
How are you getting on?
We are having technical issues here at Goodison Park. How are you? It's Geoff's internet.
Oh, has he got the Ethernet cable?
Yes.
He's not going to like it, but I do think it's a laptop.
I do think so. But anyway, shall we? I'm
happy to give you 20 minutes. I've just finished 5-a-side and I'm sitting in the car, so we'll sort that another time. Do you want me here and just go with the flow and let you continue?
Yeah, I'll watch it. I've watched the presser review.
I caught the presser today. Sean Dyche, he says all the right things, doesn't he?
He does. He says the kind of things that we like. I mean, Lampard was very friendly with them. Obviously, they're deferential because of his career as in England and Chelsea. He'd won it all that kind of stuff, and presumably he did okay. In going back to Chelsea now, because it's almost like going home. He's the return of the golden boy. Sean Dyche has flirted with relegation and up and down, and he does say the right things. So I don't think that. I mean, what do you want him to do other than concentrate on the football, on the 90 minutes, on the last match, on the next match? Do you want to hear any more from him about the youth team development or signing of players? Like, it might come through him as the mouthpiece, but he's not the one. He'll have some say in it, but he's not the one that's scouting the players. He's not the one that's doing the analytics and all the metrics of data aggregation and all that kind of stuff, is he?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what your point is, but I don't think that Sean Dyche likes to get drawn on anything other than first team current matters, i.e. what's happening right now within his control and on the pitch. He's not interested in Dele Alli. He's not interested in youth team. He's not interested in Isaac Price. He just wants to focus on what he can change now. And obviously, he's given the players a boost. I think the fans feel motivated again for once. I feel like the players are motivated again for once. And I'm quite optimistic going into this Fulham game. With the only injury being Seamus Coleman, that's a blow. But if Godfrey slots in at right back, Mykolenko in at left back, I think the transition could be okay. And I think we should be looking to have a comfortable home win, dare I say it?
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what... Is
my signal okay, by the way?
Your signal's fine. That's okay. Exactly what Paul said before. And he's right. He doesn't want to sound overconfident because it comes to bite us in the ass, really. But I can't see anything other than a Blues, 2-1 or 3-0 or... I don't know. Just a win. We have half a Geoff. We have a G or an off. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not that he doesn't care about these things, but the truth is... we're in a relegation battle against plenty of other teams that shouldn't be, just like we shouldn't be, and plenty of other teams that should be that have catapulted themselves high up the league. I mean, look at Unai Emery dragging Aston Villa up to the heights of European places, and Brentford and Brighton doing what they're doing. Nottingham Forest not really being embroiled in it. It's I don't want. I kind of completely agree with what you're saying. It's not that he doesn't care about these things. It's just that first and foremost, he's on about the Premier League table, the 3 points of the team that he puts out, and the performance. And if a player's injured, if a player's not definitively in full training for a week, ready to go in, has some match experience and ready to start, or is in contention to start the next match, he doesn't care. He wants to work with what he's got to get the job done. So speaking of that, welcome back, Geoff. Do you have any thoughts? Ryan, are you still there, or have you been swallowed by the shadow? Okay.
I was just messaging Geoff to say that I think the next port of call for Geoff is just to change the web browser.
Or something.
Web browser.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Literally an Ethernet cable in, and I've got absolute... Oh.
We can't hear you, Geoff.
And I've literally got the latest browser.
Geoff, me and Yann will come round we'll go round at some point if he wants us, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
We'll go round and get to the bottom of this.
I know he's gutted, and I don't want to upset him. Yeah. He's very much a part of the show. We love him to bits. We'll get it sorted one way or another. It could simply be a change of browser for him. That's my gut feeling, is the browser sometimes could not handle StreamYard so well. I don't know where you've been at with the StreamYard, so it's your baby. Just take it away where you were.
Okay, so we talked about Geoff and I tried to talk about Dyche's feel, or his responses in the press conferences, but we hadn't really jumped off into anything really. So it becomes about who's gonna play in what position. So at right back or at full back, Ryan's left me on his own. Okay, so at full back, it becomes, the issue is with Coleman out and with Decore injured and with DCL still in the ether, who plays at full back, left and right? Who do we put in the midfield, and who do we put up front? And obviously midfield with Gray playing in that central striking role has sort of made that a comorbidity issue. So for me, Patterson might need more game time, in which case do we put Mykolenko and Godfrey? But Godfrey, you could argue that maybe he was a bit of a weak link against Man United. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that, Ryan?
Fullback is definitely a weak area for us, to be honest. If Nathan Patterson can't get in the team now, Seamus Coleman's injured, I think we should be really worried about what kind of quality he can bring, because he was bought with big aspirations. Naturally, you'd expect Patterson straight in at right back. I don't think Godfrey is a natural left back either. And actually, I don't think he's a very good right back. So I don't really know what the answer is, but I do think we're going to have a lot of the ball against Fulham. in which case I probably would say that I'd rather have Patterson at right back and Mykolenko at left back to allow us to have a little bit of balance to try and get forward. Because I think if we go with a silly right back at left back and then we go with a makeshift right back in Godfrey who doesn't really get forward, or I don't know, someone else, Holgate could come in perhaps. I think it's going to blunt us, mate. I think people in the comments would probably expect Godfrey to go at right back and Miko at left back because that's who Dyche trusts. But
because, I was just going to say, it does sound like he's not going to play Patterson. He said the issue is his game time. And the Blues has also said there Patterson's only played about 20 minutes. Mark seems to think Godfrey's worst position is right back. It could be, though, the pressure that Everton have been under. It might have been different at Norwich, but the pressure that Everton have been under and the style of football that he had to play, certainly under, everyone who should not be named. Oh, Ryan's gone. The type of football that he was going to play, he very much ends up looking a little bit like a headless chicken when he's at left back. Although he's got the pace, he doesn't have the defensive cohesion. And we are rejoined. I just sort of wasn't unnecessarily criticising Godfrey, just justifying why he might not be the best choice for fullback. Mykolenko, I don't really know. Somebody said that if Patterson's not match fit, well, the issue is, Dave said here, what about Stanley Mills? But does the issue become, if it's not about Stanley Mills, does the issue become we need to play first team established players because this is a game where we should be looking to get the three points?
Paul's asking about Viagra.
I wouldn't know about Paul's, let's not cast those kind of aspersions. But what about Vinagre? Yeah. I mean, we've got him on loan.
He must be terrible. He must be absolute dross if he can't get in at all. He was brought in as very much a backup left back to just cover in emergencies. I feel like he's like fourth choice or something behind the cleaner's cat or something would get in before him. But I think you ask a good question there, Yann. I think the fullback options are weak. I think Coleman's a shoe-in, even though we were saying 3-4 years ago he was finished and needed to be taken out of the team. I don't think the trust in Patterson's quite there. I think Mykolenko is a Marmite player. Some players are staunch defenders of him. Others can't stand him and think he's a centre-back at left-back who can't do anything, getting forward with no pace. So it's a difficult know what to do. But if I was to say what Sean Dyche is going to do, he's absolutely going to put Mykolenko at left-back and Patterson and Thingy at right-back, Godfrey at right-back. I think that'll be the cleanest way of doing it for him. But whether I would do that, I would actually bring in Patterson, I think, and just because I think we're going to have some of the ball. We're going to try and attack. I think bigger questions for me and against Fulham. Fulham are on a bad run. They've lost the last 5. And I really want to see us get at Fulham. If Calvert-Lewin's fully fit, I'd go with Calvert-Lewin. I might be tempted to go with Sims and Lewin. Put Iwobi back on the right of midfield. Put Dwight McNeil on the left and just say, get the ball in the box. Win the second balls. Let's load onto Fulham and absolutely dominate them at home. Or maybe he won't go for that. Is there a temptation for Alex Iwobi to actually do what Doucouré does, which is the pressing, running in midfield, put Damari Gray on the wing, and just stick with either Sims or Calvert-Lewin up top? And I think that's the closest match to what they had before. Yay!
Yay!
Fed up, mate.
Welcome back from outer space.
You know
what? It's annoying.
Geoff, now it's like you're live. It's like you're in the conversation. But when you're on the computer, it's like you're maybe 2-3 seconds behind what we're saying. So you think we're not speaking and then you respond and we're seeing it delayed. And it's like...
Yeah, but I don't know why, because I've done everything.
But gentlemen, as the host for this stream, I would like to say that our viewers aren't really that interested in the technical side of behind the scenes at Follow Everton. So let's focus on the football. I'll do a Sean Dyche. It's like, well, that's 33 miles away, just like Jeff's router.
Fuck off! Stop taking the piss off me and let me into. That's fine.
Right. So essentially, the issue is if Patterson's been out for a while and he's had an injury and he doesn't have game time, we might not see him, which could mean that Godfrey and Mykolenko are going to be played. And I don't know whether Godfrey can play at right back. I mean, we could see something that gets pulled out of the hat. It could be, okay, Mykolenko as a left back playing at the right back. Okay. and Godfrey at left back. But it could be something completely left field where you're asking a midfielder or a winger to cover back Alex Iwobi on the right, to cover right back, while we play with sort of, I don't know, 4 at the back that are 3 centre backs. I've no idea. With I literally, we're running on fumes at the moment when it comes to certain positions. But so you mentioned in midfield, who are we going to play? Well, it would be nice to see Garner, James Garner, come in. But then again, he's only had minutes here and there. But he's shown as a very resilient and capable player with history before that. So I don't think it's not like he's a Patterson who isn't tested in a Premier League team, you know, or is incapable of. I mean, I don't want to call the lad incapable, but you know, so we're plugging the gap for Doucouré. Now, Geoff had some issues about whether he wants to play Idrissa Gana Gueye or Amadou Onana, because with them going 15 hours from Suhoor before 5:30 in the morning to iftar at 8:30 at night, which not only disrupts or lowers their energy levels, but means that they've got 9 hours in which to eat 2 meals and get a full night's sleep.
And they can't even drink on the pitch. Like, they can't even take sort of refreshments on the pitch as well. So we have got some problems for this game. But the one consolation I would say is that we can make 5 subs. So no, I mean, so what I mean by that is that, you know, that we can rotate some of those players out of that position, even though we won't like who we will be bringing on instead. You know, obviously Davies is going to get some game time, whether we like it or not. Possibly Holgate could get some time on the pitch, whether we like it or not. But realistically, sometimes you can overcomplicate things and worry about too much, when the simple truth is the simple truth. Patterson's going to play right back because he's a right back, and he's been back in training for weeks. He's played for Scotland. He's played under 21 games. He's ready because he's the guy that we have to play. It's as simple as that. Sometimes it's, what's the old expression? Shit or get off the pot.
Off the pot. Like, I was literally thinking about that. Yeah, that's exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. Sometimes you have to just play who you have to play because you have to play them. Sometimes you don't have a choice. But it's not like Patterson's going to come in and he's absolutely awful, because he's not. He's a good young player. He's a good young player. Go on.
From what I've seen of Patterson defensively, he's terrible. And I think that Manor Solomon, the Israeli left winger for Fulham, will make a fool of him. And I don't know how much of a threat Sean Dyche will see him as. If he thinks that Solomon's going to be very, very dangerous, I think he'll go with Godfrey. I think he'll trust Godfrey because he's seen what he can do. But I actually think, as I've alluded to before, that we're going to try and control this game. We're going to try and play on the front foot, in which case you want a right-footed right back at right back who can cross the ball in.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just because this was the intended lineup, I'm going to leave you two and go. Oh, to listener, I'm actually in the car.
Okay.
I want Geoff to have I want Geoff to have his voice today that he hasn't had for so long, if that's okay.
Of course. We'll stay on and let him talk.
For as long as it lasts.
I'm going to go to listening.
Goodbye,
Excellent. Boss. Bye. So yeah, I just think that what he's just said then about Godfrey is he's going to play him at right back because he trusts him. Because why? He was bloody awful at left back last week and was appallingly bad at defending. So there's no given guarantee that, like, you put him at suddenly at right back, he's going to suddenly remember how to defend properly, because I don't see that happening. So I just expect him to just go with the standard sort of 4-4-2, 3 in midfield. He might bring Davies in. He might bring Garner in. He's probably going to play Patterson. unless he risks Holgate. But you see the same thing you can say with Holgate. He hasn't played. Garner hasn't played much football. Patterson hasn't played much football, but needs must when the devil drives. You've got to play sometimes the players that you've got available. And so sometimes
let me ask you a question.
The question becomes simple,
Do you think Connor Cody is capable of playing at right back? Just a question.
No.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I don't rate Connor Cody at all. I really don't. I don't think he's a good defender. He gets caught ball watching. He gets caught out of position. He works in a back three. He doesn't work in a back four. So for me, I would just go with the standard. I would go with the standard 4-4-2. And if I was given the choice, I would probably play Garner alongside the other two, alongside Garner and Onana.
I mean, it may well be that we'll see a very, very similar formation to last time, where I wouldn't play Mykolenko on the right. I'd play him on the left.
No, he's a left back. Yeah,
but it could be possible. It could be possible. Yeah. So this is an opinion, and this is a bit divisive. Mr. Blue Skies has just said, and there were a couple of occasions where he did play at right back. But he did get rinsed at Man U because of the high line, because Man United were constantly very much on the ball, metaphorically and also literally, if you look at every statistic you want to look at. But it would be interesting. It might be interesting to see. I wouldn't say interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. Half of me thinks I wouldn't be surprised if you'd see Mykolenko at left back, Keane, Tarkowski, and Godfrey at right back. But my team would be Pickford, obviously, Mykolenko, Keane, Tarkowski, Patterson, because you're right, he should be able to do it. And if he needs to step up, he needs to step up. Garner and Onana in midfield, and utilising, as you say, the substitutes for to come on maybe half time if Idrissa Gana Gueye needs to come off and James Garner comes on, absolutely, or Tom Davies, who knows. Then I'd play in a sort of number 10 position behind him, Iwobi in the centre, because he's got more energy, or maybe switch him for Gray on the right wing to have Gray playing off one up front. But I'd have McNeil on the wing on the left. I'd have either Gray or Iwobi on the ring on the right, because then Iwobi can come back and cover Patterson or whoever ends up on the right back. But you'd like to hope that well, who knows? It'd be nice to have Iwobi in midfield, seeing the wonderful performances he put in centre midfield were phenomenal. And because we don't necessarily have more of an attacking midfielder that seemed to do that, the guy seems to be very... What?
Sorry, I must have missed these. Where were these phenomenal performances by Iwobi in midfield?
Okay, earlier on in this, okay.
He had occasional moments, and he does a sort of job, but he's not a central midfielder, and he gets beat and gets caught out of position a lot. That's why I like him on the right, is because he does work and he does help his fullback, and that's why I would play him as along, to help Patterson out. But I don't know where people get this myth that Iwobi's played well in central midfield, because I can't remember it. He's had the odd moment, but his passing is generally quite poor from midfield. He doesn't really actually have a killer ball. So I don't know what he adds in terms of creativity in midfield, in central midfield. So, I'd be more inclined to bring Sims on up front, play Gray in the hole, play a 4-4-2 and play Iwobi on the right than the other options, because Do we really need a three-man midfield against Fulham? That's the question. Is I'm not sure that we need a three-man midfield. Why can't we just play a 4-4-2?
Because
Go on.
because that relies on two recognised players up front.
We've got two recognised players up front. We've got two recognised players up front.
You want Sims and Mope, DCL and Sims? Do you reckon DCL will play? No.
No, I think DCL will be on the bench. I'm not sure Mope will play either. He might, but no, we've got a big man, little man combination to play up front if we play a 4-4-2. So,
what, Gray and Sims and Gray, not Mope?
Yeah, Mope's garbage. Sorry, but he's garbage. He is garbage.
He's off to Italy, isn't he?
And we've literally got if we put Iwobi on the right and we put McNeil on the left, we've got two fullbacks.
There you go.
Get the ball in the box. Whip the crosses in. Try and nick something. Get a goal. Get ahead.
And to everyone just joining us, thank you to Follow Everton's Alex Iwobi Appreciation Hour, because the Blues has just given, he had the most tackles, progressive passes, progressive carries, chances created, assists, distance covered, and a few more. Yeah. Because in his own admission, his preferred position is number 10.
Yeah. I don't really think he's that good. I really don't. And I've never thought he's that good. I know people had a love-in with him for a while because he did halfway decent for a bit, but
right.
Saying he's got the most progressive passes in a midfield that doesn't actually do creative passes, it's just like, I just think he's serviceable. He's okay.
So with your feelings about the potential, let's just skirt around that because we could just talk about Alex Iwobi all day. With your potential feelings about Alex Iwobi, but also about players that are observing Ramadan potentially being a little bit. I've got to be politically correct here. No,
No, I agree, Dave. I know. Great. I understand. He didn't get Player of the Year, but I think he might have been outfield Player of the Year. I thought Pickford got Player of the Year last year.
Yeah, but James Garner, do you think we might see? How would you feel about James Garner playing? He does seem to see a pass.
I like him.
He's strong.
I like him. Yeah. He's a good player. So if we were going to play a three. I think if we're going to play a three in midfield, if you're going to ask me, would I rather Tom Davies or James Garner? I'm going to say Garner because, the one thing that we've lacked, and we all know this, right? It's not a difficult conversation to have.
Points, goals.
Do we create anything from midfield? Have we got creative passes from midfield? No. I mean, the fact that we're kind of saying that Iwobi is our best creative midfielder, and he's got like 1 or 2 assists this year.
Set pieces.
He doesn't have a killer pass generally, but when he plays out wide, at least he can put some crosses in. James Garner is someone who progresses with the ball, who can actually take a shot, who can actually pass like between the lines. I think he's just a better player than any of ours in terms of creativity from midfield. So I would start him, but that's not my choice. It's just my preference. But I don't. I mean. Let's be honest, we can sit here and we can all have a conversation about a sort of starting 11, but we still lack quality, realistically. Damari Gray is a kind of 1 in 5 player. He turns up occasionally. When he's good, he's very good, but he does go missing. Iwobi is one of those players who does have the odd good game in him, but is generally a 6 out of 10 kind of player.
It was most noticeable. This kind of attitude, or what you're getting at, Geoff. I don't know whether you watched Man City against Real Madrid? Was it Man City, Real Madrid? No, Man City by Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Right. In that game, it was evident that not only that I'm not talking about skill and caliber of the players, but the effort that Man City put in to playing high intensity football. They completely shut them out. Bayern Munich. Why did I say Bayer Leverkusen? I was just sorry. I knew it was. Thank you. I did watch it. I was just getting confused because then there was the Man City, Chelsea, Real Madrid. Oh my God, too much football, all the football. The fact is, sometimes we don't have players that know what their job is intuitively with someone else doing it. So the fact that James Garner, for instance, does that, it's because it's drilled into him from a young age. He knows where the ball's going to be. It's not decisive. And we already saw signs of that Chelsea against Real Madrid. I kind
of think I kind of disagree slightly. Some people are naturally better at football than other people. Some people have to put a structure in place and they can give them a job and they'll do a decent job. But they're not naturally gifted at certain things. What was that, sorry?
You're being asked who the new guy is.
It's me. Hello. But yeah, like creating goals, creating opportunities has been our sore point. We all know it. And so to me, this is the perfect game, the perfect opportunity to play the simplest, most direct and obvious sort of system that we can play, which is get the ball out wide, put crosses into the box, have a big guy up front and a little guy behind for the knockdowns. 4-4-2. That's what I would do personally. And then maybe if Onana and Idrissa tire, at some point we can bring on Garner or something like that. So that was, we're not playing Man City and we're not playing Liverpool. We're not playing one of the better sides. Yes, Fulham have had a good season. But they're missing,
can I just interrupt you there?
But they're missing their best forward.
They are missing Mitrovic. They've lost the last 5 games.
5 games, exactly.
The last 4 Premier League games, and before that it was a draw. Just to address this, by the way, Chloe and anyone else curious.
Hello, Chloe.
Jeff did not storm off the channel. He is a truck driver. He works nights a lot, but he'd had trouble with his internet for about a month. He was waiting for the internet. Yes, he'd ordered it and they kept pushing it back, and it was like, yeah, cool, we'll get it done next week, and then it was next month. And Jeff has been on the channel for a bloody long time.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm a stalwart.
No, you are right. Sorry for interrupting there, Jeff. Do carry on.
No, it's all right, mate. No, it's all right. No, it's okay. So yeah, I just think that Sean Dyche is not a manager who complicates things in general terms. He's not a manager who's going to play inverted wingers, and I don't think he's going to play 3 at the back. He's, I think he's just a standard 4-4-2 man at heart, realistically, which just like the obvious solution is sometimes the best solution, which is put wingers on either side, put a big forward up front, put someone in behind him, and just get the ball in. How
Dave Hart
complicated
agrees
is that?
with you. Didn't Dyche favour 4-4-2 at Burnley? Yes.
Yes.
But I think that's a simple football for simple footballers.
Yeah, and our footballers are simple. They're really not. They're not technically genius. That's the thing, is we don't have a Messi type player who can unlock a defense with a killer pass. It's very, very rare. I mean,
James Rodriguez.
yeah, exactly. It will be can occasionally come up with something good, but it's rare. It's you're talking all of these players. It's 4 or 5 times a season, but we've got a winger there who likes whipping the ball in. He gets down the side and he whips the ball in. It's not
McNeil
particularly
or Gray.
McNeil. Yeah, McNeil. He gets down the side.
He was neutralised against Man United, but I mean, as I think Sean Dyche says this, and as it was mentioned, mentioned all the time in football, is that the last game, you go from playing Man United at their best, but then again, a few weeks before they got tonked 7, but it's not, form isn't everything. Although it does indicate a few things, and although we did get beaten by Man United, and it was 2 goals. It could have been more. We were somewhat more adapted. Do you know your criticism going back a few games, Geoff, or quite a few games? Your criticism about Sean Dyche was that he wasn't responsive enough with substitutes. Do you think that's improved?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But I also understand why, because it's one of those situations where I know Sean Dyche from his history. He doesn't like making a lot of subs. He just doesn't do that. Do
you think it's because he's a purist that believes in, it changes the dynamic of the team, although it can add fresh legs?
Yes. Yeah, exactly that. And if you look at his history with Burnley, he didn't like making subs unless he had to.
Injuries or massive errors. Yeah,
injuries or. Like, to change a game, he might make 1 or 2 subs, but bringing on 5 subs in a game, on a regular basis, it's not him. It's not. He likes structure. He likes an organisation that knows their jobs. And the more you change during the game, the more you upset the. Cheers, Carl. The more you change, the more you faff about in mid-game, the more you unsettle the structure that you've built. So he likes to build a structure where everyone knows their job. And then ideally, you would replace a like for like if there's a tiredness or an injury. But otherwise, if it's working and everyone knows what they're doing, you stick with it as much as you can. So
if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those where, Man United are one of those teams that, if you get it wrong, which we did,
you get punished.
So they're so dangerous. They are so dangerous because they've got pace, and it's the one thing that we struggle with is we do not have the same pace. Gray's pretty quick. Godfrey's obviously quick, but the midfield is not quick. We're slow.
Quick for a lad of his size.
Yes, he is quite quick. But I mean, in terms of defensive shape, we've got slow centre halves. So if you push them up too high, and they're not going to get back in time, they're going to get caught out. Obviously, like I said, Godfrey is quick, but we pushed him up too high, and we left the space over the top for Anthony to run into.
Yeah,
and he had Godfrey in bits. And so I think it was an experiment. We tried it; it didn't work. We changed at half time. We looked much steadier in the second half.
Yeah,
but overall, we're not playing Man United every week. We're not playing Man United this week. We're playing Fulham, a team that's lost its last 5 games, hasn't got its best striker, and isn't defensively amazing. Then they're not a team that keeps clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet.
Yeah,
they get out of ball.
But having said that, though, Geoff, neither are we. We've had 3? How many clean sheets have we had this season?
I don't know. But
it's low.
It is low, but I think we've kept 3 clean sheets out of 5 in our home games. And when you consider one of the goals we conceded was the penalty in the last game, and the other one was the Villa game. But the other 3 games we kept clean sheets in against Arsenal, against Brentford, and Who was the other one we kept the clean sheet against? Arsenal. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we've been much more solid defensively, especially at home. So, like I said, I just think keep the shape and play to our strengths, which, such as they are, which is get the ball down the wing, with the ball in the box, get it in there, and just try and get something from it. Try and get corners, try and get set pieces, and you know, just get a goal. We get a goal.
So with that in mind, with that in mind, if we, won't dissect it too much, but just some of the things that were mentioned in the, in the press conference where he's talking about the feel and Fortress Goodison and the fans getting on side and the fact that we've got much better home form than we do away, etc., etc. We're expecting the team to come out the starting gates, dominate possession. Or
be a little bit dominate possession.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, or get the majority of possession, to play more cohesive football, to push more higher pressure up the pitch, and to play a bit more with a bit more intent and desire, keep a clean sheet. I mean, we haven't really talked about Fulham, but they seem to have been neutralised without a target man in Mitrovic. I mean, Willian, surprisingly, is a man reborn, or has been this season somewhat. Ryan mentioned Solomon. I mean, is there anyone that you want to mention for Fulham? No.
No, not really, because it's one of those where sometimes, most season, there's one or two teams that catch lightning in a bottle. And what I mean by that is they get off to a good start and momentum carries them through a large part of the season, because if you get an early start in a season and you get a couple of good results behind you, you get confidence, and that confidence kind of lifts the level of all of the players. You look at the guy who plays fullback. We used to have him at our club, the American lad.
Oh, he was Anthony Robinson.
Anthony Robinson. He was looking really good.
Yeah.
But now what you're starting to see is teams have worked it out, and a bit like what happened with Godfrey last week, he's getting caught out a lot because he likes to adventure forward and he gets caught out of position a great deal.
Do you worry that they're going to play a bit more tiki-taki style football with Pereira and that Palhinha?
They do like to play a passing style because they're a Silva team. And I wouldn't disrespect any team in this league, because every team has got some quality in it. There's no doubt about that. Even our team has got some quality in it. Not as much quality as I'd like, but most teams have got a certain level of quality to them. So, we have to respect every opponent. But realistically speaking, this is a team that's lost its last 5 games, hasn't got its striker. Its manager is banned from the dugout as well, so he's not going to be in the dugout. So he's going to be sat in the stands. These things kind of have an effect. Your striker's missing. You come into a ground like Goodison Park, which is hostile and loud. If we get a fast start, we can put them under early. I really think if we can get an early goal, this could be our kind of like, the Palace game before the World Cup. Where we just we got an early start, got the goal, and we blew them away.
Oh, hang on, that was a clean sheet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the game that we could have on Saturday. Is get an early goal, get ourselves ahead in the game. And don't let up. Go for the second goal. If we get 2-0 up at half time, and then you've got maybe the lesser spotted DCL who could make an appearance for the second half, which could lift the side, in the second half, lift the crowd as well. So this is a game we have to target for 3 points. We can't be going there sitting back and trying to defend, because a lot of teams are better on the ball than us. They just are. So we have to play to our strengths. And like I say, that's what Dyche does. Is he's simplifying the process for the team. Is get the ball down the wings, put the ball in the area. Go for the knockdowns, go for the go for the heads. Just pretty standard football. You know what I mean? Not complicated. No rocket science. No silliness. Just Everton football.
Put the ball in the net. Yeah. So
there's truth in that though. There's a tendency to overcomplicate football, isn't it? Like I said, inverted wingers and Christmas tree formations and all this nonsense. And it's realistically, get the ball down the wings, whip the ball in, get in front, and then put the pressure on.
So what you're saying is, 90%, if they play 4-4-2, and if we see Sims and Gray with Iwobi on the right, and we just play simple football, it's going to be 4-0. Is that the Geof exclusive?
No, but I think it's a game that, like I said, I think it's a game that we should be targeting. I think it's a game that we can win, definitely, and we shouldn't be going there worrying about Fulham. It's Fulham. Yeah, they've had half a decent season, but it's going down, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And like I said, they're having problems, losing their best striker. Their manager's not going to be in the dugout. This is a game we have to target. So why not? 3-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say scores. Everyone, get your scores in the comments.
And DCL coming on to get the third goal would be huge for Everton, for himself as well, because whether I know everyone's pissed off with DCL, but like, what's that thing about walking a mile in someone's shoes? If you want to know someone, walk a mile in their shoes. We don't know all of the things that he's gone through. And whether you like him or you dislike him, that's up to you. Whether you dislike his off-field antics, that's up to you as well. For me, I couldn't give a shiny buggery about it. Like, get on the pitch, do your job, and I'll back you. Anyone who pulls on a blue shirt and crosses that line, I'll back you. And if he comes on and he comes on for the last 20 minutes and he gets a goal that seals a nice 3-0 win or something, it's confidence for the fans, it's confidence for the player. It puts us in a sort of, I think it would create a gap between us and the bottom three, because the fixtures for the teams in the bottom three got a lot. They're really tough. I think one of them plays City, one of them plays United, one of them plays Liverpool, I think, in the bottom three. So
West Ham are going to be very busy because they just drew 1-1 with Ghent, so that wasn't an easy cakewalk. So they'll be focusing. They've got huge fixture congestion. Exactly. I'm going to go for just out of left field. I'm going to go for 3-1. I'm going to say we're going to get a goal after about 15, 20 minutes. P. Macker agrees with you. Couldn't care less what DCL does off the pitch, specifically DCL, what he does off the pitch, as long as he does his job on the pitch. And we do have the Man United game in the background. Sevilla have just scored an own goal. Man United, Sevilla have just scored a goal. It's an own goal.
9-0 Domino.
He's on here saying 9-11. No, I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to say a goal after about 15, 20 minutes for Everton. And then we're possibly going to get one either just before or just after half time. Fulham are going to get one because, nothing's ever easy when you're an Evertonian. And then we're going to do that. I'm thinking an early goal inside the first 5-10 minutes.
That's
Pete
what
is
I'm going
asking,
for.
what are your teams? We did cover this earlier, Pete. I mean,
Okay,
I said,
I'll quick run through for you, Pete. I'll quick run through you. This is my personal choice of the team. Pickford, obviously, Mikalenko, Tarkowski, Keane, Patterson.
And Geoff and I agree on the keeper and the back four.
Right, and then in midfield, Onana and Guy, and then on the right, Iwobi, on the left, McNeil, and then I would play, like I say, 4-4-2, my personal choice. Don't know whether it'll happen, but I would play Sims and Gray up top.
And that's because we're assuming that DCL is not going to be match fit to start.
Yeah, I think it's just silly. We started him. Well, I've seen a lot of people saying this. Oh, he has to start. He has to start. And it's like, do you remember what happened last time he came back from injury? Because I do. We played Arsenal. He played really well for about an hour, and then he's been out for the last 2 months since then. So, like, why would you start him in a game like this? It's just ridiculous. He's coming back. He's starting to get his fitness back. Give him 15 minutes. Give him 15 minutes and then see what the reaction is to his injury afterwards, see how he feels and see how he trains. And then maybe in the next game, you can give him half an hour. And then the next home game after that, then you can maybe look at starting him if it all goes well. But
whereas my team is optimistically at the exact same starting 11, but whereas where Geoff got Iwobi on the right wing and Gray behind Sims playing a sort of 4-4-2 role, I see Sims in the middle, Gray on the right, and Iwobi playing a sort of number 10 role where he's maybe going to get a shot from distance for a change or feed in Sims, and Gray and McNeil are going to whip in the crosses for Sims' header. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see DCL start. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we see some form of change, because he was asked about Tom Davies having match experience. I don't know. But that would be my team to play, and then as the match progresses, I would see maybe James Garner or, well, invariably Tom Davies would come on, possibly because Onana's still carrying a bit of an injury. But I don't know. It just depends. Can Ellis Sims play a full 90 minutes? Can he get the job done?
Hit the like, boys and girls.
Sorry?
Yeah, hit the like, peeps. Thanks,
yes.
Eugene.
But yeah, that's.
No, lol. I don't know what the comment was that he's lolling at, but
9-0. I'm going to say,
God, wouldn't that be wonderful? It'd be good for our goal difference as well.
I'm going to say 3 goals. Sims, Iwobi, and Onana. And I mean,
it's not going to be with his head, is it? Because Onana can't head the ball to save his life. Never seen someone who's that big who can't head the ball.
I mean, I don't know though. Mabsy, who is also somewhat of a regular or former regular on here, has a friend that always sticks £5 on Michael Keane scoring 2 goals. So that would be absolutely hilarious.
You know, you can't argue with the fact that, like, Keane's got a goal in him. He definitely has, and he's good in the air from the set pieces as well. So I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't argue with that at all. I don't think they're particularly good defensively. I don't think they're awful, but I don't think they're particularly great. So we can certainly get at them.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we are.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean to say he's a skillful header of the ball, mate, because most of it he's got a head like a 50p. Like, just because he caught lightning in a bottle once doesn't mean he's a good header of the ball.
You leave him alone, pal. Right.
Well, you know me. I'm not going to suddenly turn into a whole new person just because, like, sarcasm is just something that's built in. I'm an Evertonian.
So I was going to say we were going to go, but for those who maybe don't have it on Watch on Sky or BT or whatever it is, or plenty of other services available, it is the last few minutes of the Man United Sevilla game. We've been on for an hour. We've covered the Everton game. Why not just stick around? Because Sevilla are about 25 yards out. They're taking a free kick from the left. He's run. Oh, it's just hit the Man United wall. They've got a goal back. It's 2-1. They are working it. They've still got possession. It's strange to see United playing
very little faith
instead of the iconic.
No, Mr. Blue Skies, he said, you have no faith in any of our players, Geoff. And it's like,
we're 17th.
Well, yeah, I mean, at some point, despite what people who wear dog collars might tell you, like, faith requires evidence occasionally. So, yeah, like, do I have a lot of faith in the Everton squad? No. But, you know, they could come good. I don't hate them all completely. But yeah.
I mean, some people have just been commenting. Sorry, by the way, some people have been commenting throughout the thing. You know, what about Dele Alli? The reports of him doing the balloons. You know, these are kind of things that maybe we could have. It's not worth it doing its own. Doing its own video, and maybe it is worth doing a 5-minute video just going, what are you doing, lad? What are you doing?
Put the scroll across the bottom. Newsflash. Dele Alli Isabel. Shock horror. We knew this. Dele Alli is a moron. But, you know, whatever. I don't care. But he's just, you know, on the list of people.
My God!
What?
Sevilla have just equalised.
Have they? Is that at Old Trafford?
Yes, at Old Trafford.
They're good in that. They're good in the Europa, aren't they? They really are. And they won it like about 5 times in the last 8 years or something.
I don't know. Look,
I'm pretty sure
why would I, an Everton fan, have any interest in keeping up to speed with European?
I'm pretty sure they've won it at least 4 times, possibly 5 times. They've won the Europa League in the last sort of 7 or 8 years. They're a really good side. But yeah, no.
Sevilla
my confidence
down and it came off.
Going back to, like I say, I don't care about that. But going back to what the comment was before, which is about me not having the faith in any of our players. That's not true. I do have faith in some of them. But the person who I have faith in is the manager. And I think that we managed, despite our wretchedly daft owner trying to get totally unsuitable Bielsa and trying to get David Ancelotti as well, finally was left with no choice but to actually appoint someone who doesn't have a sexy name and isn't like a big-time person, but is actually a really
I do think we made a mistake in not appointing Eddie Howe.
Yes, exactly. But we didn't, because he wasn't a sexy enough name. He wasn't a big enough name. And this is the problem with the owners of the club, is that we always want the big name. It's like, oh, let's get Hammers in. And it's like, yeah, okay, he's a big name, but it comes with a baggage. It comes with a downside. And
it's like when we signed, I mean, we had Samuel Eto'o. And I mean, at one time we had Paul Gascoigne and David Schindler. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. And the thing is, if you run a club properly, you don't sign fading superstars. You sign the next up-and-coming superstar that nobody's ever heard of. You know, and that's how you make money as a football club.
The biggest mistake we had was not properly financing or getting the right buyer in the early to mid-90s. And then we were in a situation where nothing had been resolved. We'd sold off a lot of our good players by the late 90s. And we were doing things like getting a player like Wayne Rooney come through and selling him after a year, 18 months.
Yeah, we don't want to go down this dark history lesson. But yeah, we finally managed to appoint the right manager because we were kind of left with no choice. Well, the owners were left with no options because everyone they wanted wasn't available or not interested or whatever, and we've got the right manager now.
I think the issue, maybe more the fact that we didn't appoint Howe, and we wanted Frank Lampard or Benitez, and all these other managers before then, like for instance Benitez. It's the idea of getting a big name. It's more symptomatic of
the owner.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
because
no, I mean that's what I said. I've literally said that. It's the owner. The owner's ego trip. Championship manager, kind of, like he's an idiot. But occasionally,
because if we'd have got Eddie Howe, I'm sure that he would have got the right players if he'd have been given the free rein to do so. But even if we'd have got Eddie Howe, he probably wouldn't have been given the any dispensation to get the players that he wanted to get. So it becomes a catch-22.
Yeah. So, like I said, we basically were left with no choice, and the owner appointed Eddie Howe, holding his nose. You could tell
the last holding kick of the game.
While he did. I don't care about the Man United game.
Yeah, but it's a corner.
Yeah, I don't care. I do not care. It's not a watch-along channel. This is an Everton stream. So you watch footy if you want, but I'm talking about Everton. But yeah, we've appointed the right manager. And we just need to let him do his job because he knows what he's doing. And every time you hear him talk, you can tell that he knows what he's doing. And he's dragging results out of a bunch of players who aren't good enough, realistically, for the most part. Some of them are good enough. Some of them are clearly not. And if he's given an opportunity in the summer to bring in his own players, I think he's well capable of building a team that can challenge for Europe. And it won't take long because despite the fact that we are where we are, it doesn't take a big turnaround to suddenly go from. I mean, look at Newcastle. They were where we were last year, struggling relegation, and now they're challenging for the Champions League. The gap isn't as huge as people think it is if you get certain things right, and build a strong foundation to a side where you make yourself tough to beat, you make yourself organised, and then you add that little bit of quality that can turn draws into wins, and sort of turn defeats into draws. And we can easily shoot up that table, but we've just got to survive this year, and that requires pragmatism.
Well, which raises the point that after Fulham on Saturday, it will be it's 2 weeks today. The next home game after Fulham that we play Newcastle at home, but we've got Crystal Palace away after Fulham, so it'd be nice to see us get some 3 points, some goals, a clean sheet, go away to Crystal Palace, do the double over them, and then lord it over Anthony Gordon as he gets subbed as a sub. At St James's Park, and we steal some points from the horse punchers. Yeah, that would be nice.
And I do understand your point, Mr. Blues, about they've spent some money. They have indeed, no doubt about that.
But the issue is as well.
It's Brighton haven't spent a shit ton of money, and they're doing well too. And Brentford haven't spent an awful lot of money. So the point I was making is not really about the budget. Get the right manager, put the right system in place, and like get a proper ethic into the team, and you can see a severe improvement. And it's not about the money. Like they.
Well, it is. Hang on, Jeff. I do want to say it is a little bit about the money, because when you have people saying, like, it's very short-sighted to say, oh, if we get an offer for Onana for 72 or 74 or something like that, we should take it. No, we shouldn't. Because let me tell you why. No, I'll explain why. Because the math doesn't add up, right? 72 million when we paid 28. Okay, but 72 million. If it's, let's say, 70 million, 20% of that immediately has to go to Lille. So that becomes 56 million. 56 million after a year, that's sort of depreciated on the books, and of that, essentially, I don't know why, but I discussed it with somebody who knows more of the finances of football. Essentially, when that money goes back in, we will. How it works with the football club and the assets on the books and the reinvestment, we'd end up with selling him and only having 15 million to spend of that 56 million.
Okay.
Genuinely, right? If you want to look into how that works because of profit and sustainability, but also what the money that we'd have left over, we wouldn't have 56 million to spend on a replacement player. It would not work like that.
It depends. It depends, because if you actually think about
it's been explained to me by two different people, and I still can't remember how to explain it because I was thinking,
right.
I'll bring that up on the channel.
So if you look at it, how much did we actually spend for Onana?
Was it like 35?
No. We spent
28
5.
plus 7 million of volume. What?
No, we spent 5. We spent an upfront fee of 5 plus 5. It's Klarna version of a transfer. We basically paid a certain amount, and then as the more he plays, we end up spending more, up to a maximum of 30 million over, and then on top of that, there's a sell-on clause. But we didn't actually spend that much on him in the first place because we bought him on a kind of layaway deal. The same with McNeil. People say, we spent like 20 odd million on him. We didn't. I think we actually paid about 7 or 8 million up front, and then we pay installments over the course of his career. So it doesn't really work like that. And so the idea that in the summer we can only, if we get 70 million for him, we can only spend 15, it doesn't really work like that, because then you can put that 15 down on another player, but with add-ons.
You can't opt out of the payments. Like, if we sell him, there will be other knock-on things. At the very least, we have to pay 20%, not just
exactly. So that's what I'm saying, is it's more complicated than just selling him for cash and buying someone else for cash. It doesn't quite work that way. So
yeah.
So people tend to get.
That's why I was trying to explain. I've had someone explain it to me very simply, and then someone who went into the details of the add-ons of the contract who knew some of those things. So essentially, what we'd only end up with is somewhere between 14 and 18 million actually allocated as cash that we then had to go, okay, who can we then report?
That is 18 million of profit. Complete profit.
When we've marked when we lost 100 million in a year, it's not going to make it. It's not going to. No, it's going to be another. It's going to be another example of where's the Moise Kean money, where's the Mikel Arteta money.
Yeah, but that's a whole different debate. But in terms of the financial aspect of it, is if you sign someone and then sold them for a year later, and you've made 18 million of clear profit on that player for a year, that's clear profit. So, yeah, you could say, we could keep him for X amount, and we could sell him for X amount.
Minus wages.
There's no guarantees on anything in football, is there? But, we've also got other players going out the door on big wages, so we should have latitude.
Tom Davies will be a free agent in the summer. What's your thoughts on that?
Bye.
Well, on that note, then.
Time for Toby bye.
Yeah, no, sorry.
But it's like, I like the way Dyche deflected it, because he basically didn't actually say, we're doing a deal or anything like that. He was just like, those things get talked about, which is basically like, see you later, mate. So Mina's going to be gone. I think Decore's got a year left. I don't know whether we're going to re-sign him up on that contract. I think it'll depend on whether we stay up.
Idrissa Gana Gueye has
got a year left after this, with an option on a third. So, I think our wage bill is going to come down again significantly after this season. But that's not our problem. That's someone else's problem. Let them work it out.
What, are you
that's
going to
their
give
job.
up being an Evertonian after the end of this season, Geoff? Well,
No,
we'll see how the season goes.
if I could, do you know what I mean? But I'm locked in now, mate. It's one of those.
Well, on that note, we could sit here all night talking about this, but we've drifted a little bit from Fulham. But I will be there on Saturday. Will you be doing the pre-match warm-up video lunchtime on
Yeah,
Saturday?
why not? Yeah, why not?
Right then.
Yeah, possibly.
To everyone who's joined us and sat through our technical issues and our chat and our discussions on the
I'm going
tactics.
to go frisbee my laptop now.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone. Do like, subscribe, hit the little notification button. Tell everybody
Thanks, everyone.
that Follow Everton is the place to be if you only want the one effing Geoff. And for everyone asking, it's not a trampoline. He's not about to bounce off to the moon.
It is a trampoline because I fucking love bouncing. And like, see, my name's Geoff, but it's also my other name is Tigger.
Up the Toffees.
Up the Toffees. Catch you later.
See you later. Oh Lord! Thank you very much.
Have you ended it now? Are we still live?
I am still live. Bye.
You are still live. You're supposed to do the thing and then actually do the timing of it.
You mean like this?
Yes. Bye.